Today we're going to talk about why divorce is actually okay and some of the misconceptions around why people think that it's just this awful thing. And I'd love for you guys to just bear with me because this whole COVID thing has made it crazy. The kids are doing online school at home, which means I don't have my same video place. So I'm outside and there's a lot of smoke in the air from local wildfires, and there's probably a little traffic, and maybe even my neighbor's cow will make some sounds. So I just apologize ahead of time for any distractions, but I just want to talk to you candidly today. I usually try to keep my videos really concise and scripted, but I want to share my perspective on this issue. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Coach Ketra. I help women find empowerment when they're dealing with some of life's most difficult issues. Divorce recovery, betrayal, emotional abuse, and really hone in on how to get your power back without getting stuck on a hamster wheel of recovery that doesn't get you anywhere. So, why should an emotionally abusive husband be entitled to all the benefits of a really good marriage without reciprocating the same level of love and respect? The truth is, they really shouldn't. And many of us as wives don't have strong enough boundaries to really draw the line in the sand and say no, because we carry a lot of guilt over what a wife should be and what a wife should do. The truth is, ending a marriage is a natural consequence to abusive behavior. And a lot of people don't like the word abusive. You don't have to be physically abusive to be damaging to someone else. Matter of fact, studies show that it is more damaging in the long term to have dealt with emotional abuse than it is to have dealt with isolated physical abuse. So as a Christian, I know the Bible says that a man reaps what he sows. So if your husband is emotionally destructive, he should not reap the benefits of a healthy, loving marriage, because that's not what he's sowing. What he should reap are the consequences of his abuse, the accountability for not holding up his end of the covenant marriage, for not loving well, for not leading in a Christ-like fashion, for not accepting you for who you are. So many times, men with these issues, they see their wives as an extension of themselves. So they think they're entitled to tell them how to feel, what to do, how to behave, accuse them of things that maybe they didn't do, and create chaos while they just continue acting entitled without taking any ownership or making real amends. So what do? You end up in a situation where you keep saying the same thing over and over. Please don't do that. Please don't treat me that way. And even apologizing for things that you didn't do. But he's twisted things around so much that you feel like, okay, I have to apologize. And it just becomes exhausting. This round and round circle that is so exhausting. Let me tell you, you don't have to live on this hamster wheel. You don't have to sacrifice yourself on the altar of never getting divorced. It's not the unpardonable sin. It's not something that God would want for his daughters. He has created you whole and complete. From day one, you didn't need a husband to complete you. Matter of fact, men probably need women much more than women need men. And I don't say that in some sexist, feminist way. What I'm saying is, oftentimes men shut down emotionally because they are so sensitive as babies and little children that they don't handle neglect or rejection the same way. So when they've had issues growing up with neglect or rejection or someone not accepting them for who they are and they've shut down, they don't shut down in one area of their life, they shut down in all areas of their life. They are terrified of true vulnerability at that point. They have stunted their emotional growth. So they might be emotionally 7 years old in a 40-year-old body. And then they might have the preconceived idea that somehow their wife belongs to them and their wife never has the right to leave them. And they'll play the divorce card as this unpardonable sin that how dare you even think of that. When the truth is, if you're a wife in an emotionally destructive marriage, you are suffering. You are suffering from neglect. You are suffering from being ignored or criticized. There's kind of two sides to the coin when dealing with these guys. It seems like many of them do one of two things. They ignore you like you never spoke. They don't meet your bids. They don't answer you with kindness or curiosity. Or they become defensive at everything you say, playing the devil's advocate, arguing back, making a counter argument to any opinion that you share, accusing you of things that aren't true. So what are you left with? You're left with a situation where you have to decide whether you speak up and get attacked critically or you stay silent and suffer the deep emotional pain of being absolutely neglected in your own life. Almost like you're a passenger along for their life, but it's not your life because you aren't living the life you would want. So that takes me to this other issue. If you don't have the strength and power to reclaim your life, you're gonna stay stuck in these two really bad options. So you need to know what your giftings and talents are. But before you can even focus on that, you need to deal with your own trauma and hurts and wounds and triggers and things that have caused you pain in your life. There's patterns that keep repeating in your life, and maybe you feel helpless to stop them. And they're just part of your subconscious. They're playing in the background, but you don't seem to be able to break the patterns, to break the cycle of these choices that you've been making, or even the confusion in your own life. That's what I do. I have put together an 8-week program that walks people through releasing their trauma, dealing with their core belief issues, rediscovering themselves, teaching them how to reclaim their power, become a boundary badass, which benefits you not only in your current marriage, but also in every relationship in your life. Boundaries are incredibly important, but learning how to do them right and learning what to do as far as implementing consequences is imperative. And last but not least, learning how to create an intervention so you can make a request of your spouse that is clear, concise, and gives all of the things that you are requesting, like the specific treatment, the programs that really work, whatever the needs really are, so you can make that request. And then the truth is, it's in their court. You've made an intervention request for a desperate plea for them to get help. And if they still refuse at that point, then they don't care about loving you well. They don't care about their own personal growth. They're not brave enough to face the ugly sides of what they've done or who they're behaving like. And at least you've done your part. At least you've regained your power, your strength. You've healed yourself, and you've presented them with a really good option to heal themselves. And if they choose not to do it, you've done your part. There is no reason you have to sit in a relationship and soak in the toxicity of being unloved. You were created to be loved. God created you to be not only supportive to someone else, but to be supported by someone else. He created you equal. He created you amazing. You're the most amazing creation. And unfortunately, you're probably living in a world that doesn't affirm that. And I'm so sorry if you're dealing with that. I know how that feels. And that's why I'm doing what I do, because I know how scary it is to not know what to do. I know how lonely it feels to be neglected or criticized regularly. Do you feel exhausted? Do you feel like you have tried everything? Like you have begged and pleaded, and like you have told people maybe, but they don't understand, and that maybe you can't even replay the conversations in a way that's understandable to other people because they don't see the body language and hear the tone. They don't see the repetitiveness of it. Do you feel alone, like you don't have any resources? I'm here to tell you that you do. It doesn't take years of therapy and crazy recovery programs. I've put together an 8-week program from all of the information I have gathered. I have spent way too much money to find out what works and what doesn't, but I finally know. I finally know my worth to God. I finally know my value. I finally can love myself. I've finally released my trauma, and I finally know what my giftings and talents are, and you can too. You don't have to put up with it. And I'm not saying you should get a divorce. I'm saying you have the power to take the reins back into your life, to take the power back, to actually take charge over the destiny of your life. And it can be really hard to imagine when you feel small and you feel tired and you feel exhausted, you feel so worn out and you feel like nobody understands and like you're just stuck and this is what you just have to deal with. And you don't have to. And you don't have to do it alone. In the description, there is a link to my coaching, one-on-one coaching. There's also a link to set up a phone call, which I provide one totally free phone call so that you can get clarity on your issues, so I can hear your story, so I can read between the lines and get to the root of what's going on. Not having clarity is a really big issue. And in the confusion that you might be in, it's hard to get clarity without another person. So I want to give you clarity, and I want to be able to see if you're a good fit for the program. But even if you don't want to take the program, you will not come away from that call without something very valuable. Getting clarity on where the issues are, and maybe even a plan about what to do next, is incredibly valuable. So check out the link below if you'd like to set up a free one-time phone call with me. Remember, until next time, curate a life by your own design.